Yes, Pallavi, you can start.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Today we are on the day 8 of the book The Alchemist, and yesterday we read till page 131. Yesterday we read that Santiago continued his journey through the desert with the alchemist, who became the mentor and guide. He teaches Santiago to listen to his heart and understand the soul of the world. Explains explaining that fear of suffering is worse than the fearing of to fail itself. Santiago heart initially speaks of fear of loss, love, and failure, but slowly becomes um, but slowly comes out of his feeling, warning him. Slowly, his heart warns him about the danger and guiding him towards him. When Santiago and Alchemist are captured with armed tribesmen, the Santiago gives away all the Santiago gold and boldly claims that Santiago can turn himself into the wind within 3 days. Now Santiago was eager mm, because this became his test. How facing the fear was facing the fear and uncertainty, he began communicating with the desert and the wind, learning all the elements of the universe. He learned that all the elements of universe are connected to themselves, and create some divine forces. Just before the success, the universe tests everything. Santiago had learned that the hardest moment often comes when they are just before when you are just before fulfilling your dreams, or when your dreams are about to come true. So yesterday was there was so much key points to learn, that your heart knows the way how to overcome your fears, and listen to your heart rather than going for a fear. Fear of suffering is worse than fearing of suffering itself. And the universe tests you most when you are the closest to success. And true mentor push you beyond comfort into the transformation. So from here onwards, we will be reading ahead. Uh, Anjali ji, you want to go first? Page one.
I'll take last में आप पढ़ लो and then I'll take towards the end. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
Mansi and Suman are there.
this is what we call love. The boy said, seeing the wind was close to granting what he requested. When you are loved, you can do anything in creation. When you are loved, there's no need at all to understand what is happening, because everything happens within you, and even men can turn themselves into wind as long as the wind helps, of course. The wind was a proud being, and it was becoming irritated with what the boy was saying. It connected to blow harder, raising the desert sand. But finally, it had to recognize that even making it way around the world, it didn't know how to turn a man into wind. All it knew nothing about, and it knew nothing about love. In my travel around the world, I have often seen people speaking of love and looking towards the heaven. The wind said, furious at having to acknowledge its own limitation. Maybe it is later to ask heaven. And Gigi, please, can you scroll it? Thank you so much. Well, then help me do that, the boy said. Fill this space with a sandstorm, so strong that it bolts out the sun. Then I can look to heaven without blinding myself. So the wind blew with all its strength, and the sky was filled with sand. The sun was turned into a golden disk. At the camp, it was difficult to see anything. The men of the desert were already familiar with that wind. They called it the cinnamon, and it was worse than a storm at a sea. The horses cried out, and all their weapons were filled with sand. On the height, one of the commander turned into the chief and said, Maybe he was better than this. They could barely see the boy. Their faces were covered with the blue cloths, and their eyes showed fear. Let's stop this, another commander said. Thank you so much. Sumanji, you can take ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Palviji. I want to see the greatness of Allah, the chief said with respect. I want to see how a man turns himself into the wind. But he made a mental note of the names of the two men who had expressed their fear. As soon as the wind stopped, he was going to remove them from their commands because true men of the desert are not afraid. The wind told me that you know about love, the boy said to the sun. If you know about love, you must know about the soul of the world because it is made of love. From where I am, the sun said, I can see the soul of the world. It communicates with my soul, and together we cause the plants to grow and the sheep to seek out shade. From where I am, and I am a long way from the earth, I learned how to love. I know that if I came even a little bit closer to the earth, everything there would die, and the soul of the world would no longer exist. So we contemplate each other and we want each other, and I give it life and warmth, and it gives me my reason for living. So you know about love, the boy said. And I know the soul of the world because we have talked at great length to each other during this endless trip through the universe. It tells me that its greatest problem is that up until now, only the minerals and vegetables understand that all things are one, that there is no need for iron to be the same as copper or copper the same as gold. Each performs its own exact function as a unique being, and everything would be a symphony of peace if the hand that wrote all this had stopped on the fifth day of creation. But there was a sixth day. The sun went on. You are wise because you observe everything from a distance, the boy said. But you don't know about love. If there had not been a sixth day, man would not exist. Copper would always be just copper, and lead just lead. It's true that everything has its personal legend, but one day that personal legend will be realized. So each thing has to transform itself into something better and to acquire a new personal legend until someday the soul of the world becomes one thing only. The sun thought about that and decided to shine more brightly. The wind, which was enjoying the conversation, started to blow with greater force so that the sun would not blind the boy. This is why alchemy exists, the boy said, so that everyone will search for his treasure, find it, and then want to be better than he was in his former life. Lead will play its role until the world has no further need for the lead. And then the lead will have to turn itself into gold. That is what alchemists do. They show that when we strive to become better than we are, everything around us become better too. Well, why did you say that I don't know about love? The son asked the boy. Because it is not love to be static like the desert, nor is it love to roam the world like the wind. And it is not love to see everything from a distance like you do. Love is the force that transforms and improves the soul of the world. When I first reached through to it, I thought the soul of the world was perfect. But later I could see that it was like other aspects of creation and had its own passions and wars. It is we who nourish the soul of the world, and the world we live in will be either better or worse, depending on whether we become better or worse. And that is where the power of love comes in. Because when we love, we always strive to become better than we are. So, what do you want of me? The son asked. I want you to help me turn myself into the wind, the boy answered. Nature knows me as the wisest being in creation, the son said, but I don't know how to turn into the wind. Then whom should I ask? The sun thought for a minute. The wind was listening closely and wanted to tell every corner of the world that the sun's wisdom had its limitations, that it was unable to deal with this boy who spoke the language of the world. Speak to the hand that wrote all, said the sun. The wind screamed with delight and blew harder than ever. The tents were being blown from their ties and the sails were being torn from their masts. The boy stood still and listened. He heard the sun speak softly and gently. Now he sensed that the universe had fallen silent, and he decided not to speak. A current of love rushed from his heart, and the boy began to pray. It was a prayer that he had never said before, because it was a prayer without words or pleas. His prayers didn't give thanks for his sheep having found new pastures. It didn't ask that the boy be able to sell more crystal, and it didn't beseech that the woman he had met continue to await his return. In the silence, the boy understood that the desert, the wind, and the sun were also trying to understand the signs written by the hand and were seeking to follow their paths and to understand what had been written on a single emerald. He saw that omens were scattered throughout the earth and in space, and that there was no reason or significance attached to their appearance. He could see that not the deserts, nor the wind, nor the sun, nor people knew why they had been created. But that the hand had a reason for all of this, and that only the hand could perform miracles, or transform the sea into a desert, or a man into the wind, because only the hand understood that it was a larger design that had moved the universe to the point at which 6 days of creation had evolved into a masterwork. The boy reached through to the soul of the world and saw that it was the part of the soul of God. And he saw that the soul of God was his own soul, and that he, a boy, could perform miracles. Yes, someone else want to read? Or I should go on?
You
Mansi,
can
you
go
want
on
to
for a
read?
while, yeah.
Okay,
No,
okay.
I will a little later, like you can go on soon.
Okay, okay. The simum blew that day as it had never blown before. For generations thereafter, the Arabs recounted the legend of a boy who had turned himself into the wind, almost destroying a military camp in defiance of the most powerful chief in the desert. When the simum ceased to blow, everyone looked to the place where the boy had been, but he was no longer there. He was standing next to a sand covered sentinel on the far side of the camp. The men were terrified at his sorcery, but there were two people who were smiling: the alchemist, because he had found his perfect disciple, and the chief, because that disciple had understood the glory of God. The following day, the general bade the boy and the alchemist farewell and provided them with an escort party to accompany them as far as they chose.
Hello, may I read?
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
They rode for the entire day. Towards the end of the afternoon, they came upon a Coptic monastery. The alchemist dismounted and told the escorts they could return to the camp. From here on, you will be alone, the alchemist said. You are only 3 hours from the pyramids. Thank you, said the boy. You taught me the language of the world. I only invoked what you already knew. The alchemist knocked on the gate of the monastery. A monk dressed in black came to the gates. They spoke for a few minutes in the Coptic tongue, and the alchemist bade the boy enter. I, I asked him to let me use the kitchen for a while. The alchemist smiled. They went to the kitchen at the back of the monastery. The alchemist lighted the fire, and the monk brought him some lead, which the alchemist placed on an iron pan. When the lead had become liquid, the alchemist took from his pouch the strange yellow egg. He scraped from it a silver as thin as hair, wrapped it in wax, and added it to the pan in which the lead had melted. The mixture the mixture took on a reddish color, almost the color of the blood. The alchemist removed the pan from the fire and set it aside to cool. As he did so, he asked with the monk about the tribal wars. I, I think they are going to last for a long time, he said to the monk. The monk was irritated. The caravans had been stopped at Giza for some time, waiting for the wars to end. But God's will be done, the monk said. Exactly, answered the alchemist. When the pan had cooled, the monk and the boy looked at it dazzled. The lead had dried into the shape of the pan, but it was no longer lead, it was gold. Will I learn to do that someday? The boy asked. This was my personal legend, not yours, the alchemist answered. But I wanted to show you that it was possible. They returned to the gates of the monastery. There, the alchemist separated the disc into 4 parts. This is for you, he said, holding one of the parts out to the monk. It's for your generosity to the pilgrims. But this payment goes well beyond my generosity, the monk responded. Don't say that again. Life might be listening and give you less the next time. The alchemist turned to the boy. This is for you, to make up for what you gave to the general. The boy was about to say that it was much more than he had given the general, but he kept quiet because he had heard what the alchemist said to the monk. And this is for me, said the alchemist, keeping one of the parts because I have to return to the desert where there are tribal wars. He took the 4th part and handed it to the monk. This is for the boy if he ever needs it. But I am going in search of my treasure, the boy said. I am very close to it now, and I am certain you will find it, the alchemist said. Then why this? Because you have already lost your savings twice, once to the thief and once to the general. I am an old superstitious Arab, and I believe in your proverbs. There is one that says everything that happens once can never happen again, but everything that happens twice will surely happen a third time. They mounted their horses. I want to tell you a story about dreams, said the alchemist. The boy brought his horse closer. In ancient Rome, at the time of Emperor Tiberius, there lived a good man who had 2 sons. One was in the military and had been sent to the most distant regions of the empire. The other son was a poet and delighted all of Rome with his beautiful verses. One night, the father had a dream. An angel appeared to him and told him that the words of one of his sons would be learned and repeated throughout the world for all generations to come. The father woke from his dream grateful and crying because life was generous and had revealed to him something any any father would be proud to know. Shortly thereafter, the father died as he tried to save a child who was about to be crushed by the wheels of a chariot. Since he had lived his entire life in a manner that was correct and fair, he went directly to heaven where he met the angel that had appeared in his dream. You were always a good man, the angel said to him. You lived your life in a loving way and died with dignity. I can know I can now grant you any wish you desire. Life was good to me, the man said. When you appeared in my dream, I felt that all my efforts had been rewarded because my son's poems will be read by men for generations to come. I don't want anything for myself, but any father would be proud of the fame achieved by one whom he had cared for as a child and educated as he grew up. Sometimes in the distant future, I would like to see my son's words. Next, anyone can read. Thank you.
No
Yeah,
names. Mansi, you want to read?
yeah, I'll read, yeah.
Sure.
The angel touched the man's shoulder. Yeah, see, no?
Ha, yes, the angel touched the man's.
The angel touched the man's shoulder, and they were both projected far into the future. They were in an immense setting, surrounded by thousands of people speaking a strange language. The man wept with happiness. I knew that my son's poems were immortal, he said to the angel without his tears. Can you please tell me which of my son's poems these people are repeating? The angel came closer to the man and with tenderness led him to a bench nearby where they sat down. The verses of your son, who was the poet, were very popular in Rome, the angel said. Everyone loved them and enjoyed them. But when the reign of Tiberius ended, his poems were forgotten. The words you are hearing now are those of your son in the military. The man looked at the angel in surprise. Your son went to serve at a distant place and became a centurion. He was just and good. One afternoon, one of his servants fell ill, and it appeared that he would die. Your son had heard of a rabbi who was able to cure illnesses, and he rode out for days and days in search of this man. Along the way, he learned that the man he was seeking was the Son of God. He met others who had been cured by him, and they instructed your son in the man's teachings. And so, despite the fact that he was a Roman centurion, he converted to their faith. Shortly thereafter, he reached the place where the man he was looking for was visiting. He told the man that one of his servants was gravely ill, and the rabbi made ready to go to his house with him. But the centurion was a man of faith, and looking into the eyes of the rabbi, he knew that he was surely in the presence of the Son of God. And this is what your son said. The angel told the man. These are the words he said to the rabbi at that point, and they have never been forgotten. My lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word, and my servant will be healed. The alchemist said, no matter what he does, every person on earth plays a central role in the history of the world, and normally he doesn't know it. I'll read this again. No matter what he does, every person on earth plays a central role in the history of the world, and normally he doesn't know it. The boy smiled. He had never imagined that questions about life would be of such importance to a shepherd. Goodbye, the alchemist said. Goodbye, said the boy. Anyone wants to read, or I can continue? Not a problem.
I'll read. I'll take after you, Mansi. You read up till where you want to read. So,
Okay, okay. The boy rode along through the desert for several hours, listening avidly to what his heart had to say. It was his heart that would tell him where his treasure was hidden. Where your treasure is, there also will be your heart, the alchemist had told him. But his heart was speaking of other things. With pride, it told the story of a shepherd who had left his flock to follow a dream he had on two different occasions. It told of personal legend and of the many men who had wandered in search for distant lands or beautiful women, confronting the people of their times with their preconceived notions. It spoke of journeys, discoveries, books, and change. As he was about to climb yet another dune, his heart whispered, be aware of the place where you are brought to tears. That's where I am, and that's where your treasure is. The boy climbed the dune slowly. A full moon rose again in the starry sky. It had been a month since she had set forth from the oasis. The moonlight cast shadows through the dunes, creating the appearance of a rolling sea. It reminded the boy of the day when that horse had reared in the desert and he had come to know the alchemist. And the moon fell on the desert silence and on a man's journey in search of treasure. When he reached the top of the dune, his heart leaped. There, illuminated by the light of the moon and the brightness of the desert, stood the solemn and majestic pyramids of Egypt. The boy fell to his knees and wept. He thanked God for making him believe in his personal legend and for leading him to meet a king, a merchant, an Englishman, and an alchemist, and above all for his having met a woman of the desert who had told him that love would never keep a man from his personal legend. If he wanted, he could now return to the oasis, go back to Fatima, and live his life as a simple shepherd. After all, the alchemist continued to live in the desert even though he understood the language of the world and knew how to transform lead into gold. He didn't need to demonstrate his science and art to anyone. The boy told himself that on the way toward realizing his own personal legend, he had learned all he needed to know and had experienced everything he might have dreamed of. But here he was, at the point of finding his treasure, and he reminded himself that no project is completed until its objective has been achieved. The boy looked at the sand around him and saw that where his tears had fallen, a scarab beetle was scuttling through the sand. During this time in the desert, he had learned that in Egypt the scarab beetles are a symbol of God. Another omen. The boy began to dig into the dune. As he did so, he thought of what the crystal merchant had once said, that anyone could build a pyramid in his backyard. The boy could see now that he couldn't do so if he placed stone upon stone for the rest of his life. Throughout the night, the boy dug at the place he had chosen, but found nothing. He felt weighed down by the centuries of time since the pyramid had been built. But he didn't stop. He struggled to continue digging as he fought the wind, which often blew the sand back into the excavation. His hands were abraded and exhausted, but he listened to his heart. It had told him to dig where his tears fell. As he was attempting to pull on the rocks he encountered, he heard footsteps. Several figures approached him. Their backs were to the moonlight, and the boy could see neither their eyes nor their faces. What are you doing here? One of the figures demanded, because he was terrified. Anjali, you want to take it from here? Go on, go
Okay,
on.
Mansi, I'll do that. What are you doing here? One of the figures demanded. Because he was terrified, the boy didn't answer. He had found where his treasure was and was frightened at what might happen. We are refugees from the tribal wars and we need money, the other figure said. What are you hiding there? I'm not hiding anything, the boy answered. But one of them seized the boy and yanked him back out of the hole. Another, who was searching the boy's bags, found the piece of gold. There's gold here, he said. The moon shone on the face of the Arab who had seized him, and in the man's eyes the boy saw death. He has probably got more gold hidden in the ground. They made the boy continue digging, but he found nothing. As the sun rose, the men began to beat the boy. He was bruised and bleeding. His clothing was torn to shreds, and he felt that death was near. What good is money to you if you are going to die? It's not often that money can save someone's life, the alchemist had said. Finally, the boy screamed at the men, I'm digging for treasure. And although his mouth was bleeding and swollen, he told his attackers that he had twice dreamed of a treasure hidden near the pyramids of Egypt. The man, who appeared to be the leader of the group, spoke to one of the others. Leave him. He doesn't have anything else. He must have stolen this gold. The boy fell to the sand nearly unconscious. The leader shook him and said, "We are leaving." But before they left, he came back to the boy and said, "You are not going to die. You will live, and you'll learn that a man shouldn't be so stupid. 2 years ago, right here on this spot, I had a recurrent dream too. I dreamed that I should travel to the fields of Spain and look for a ruined church where shepherds and their sheep slept. In my dream, there was a sycamore growing out of the ruins of the sacristy, and I was told that if I dug to the at the roots of the sycamore, I would find a hidden treasure. But I am not so stupid as to cross an entire desert just because of a recurrent dream." And they disappeared. The boy stood up shakily and looked once more at the pyramids. They seemed to laugh at him, and he laughed back, his heart bursting with joy, because now he knew where his treasure was. Epilogue. The boy reached the small abandoned church just as night was falling. The sycamore was still there in the sacristy, and the stars could still be seen through the half destroyed roof. He remembered the time he had been there with his sheep. It had been a peaceful night, except for the dream. Now he was here not with his flock, but with a shovel. He sat looking at the sky for a long time. Then he took from his knapsack a bottle of wine and drank some. He remembered the night in the desert when he had sat with the alchemist as they looked at the stars and drank wine together. He thought of the many roads he had traveled and of the strange way God had chosen to show him his treasure. If he hadn't believed in the significance of recurrent dreams, he would not have met the gypsy woman, the king, the thief, or, well, it's a long list. But that path was written in the omens, and there was no way I could go wrong, he said to himself. He fell asleep, and when he awoke, the sun was already high. He began to dig at the base of the sycamore. "You old sorcerer," the boy shouted up to the sky. "You knew the whole story. You even left a bit of gold at the monastery so I could get back to this church." The monk laughed when he saw me come back in tatters. "Couldn't you have saved me from that?" No, he heard a voice on the wind say, "If I had told you, you wouldn't have seen the pyramids. They are beautiful, aren't they?" The boy smiled and continued digging. Half an hour later, his shovel hit something solid. An hour later, he had before him a chest of Spanish gold coins. There were also precious stones, gold masks adorned with red and white feathers, and stone statues embedded with jewels, the spoils of a conquest that the country had long ago forgotten, and that some conquistador had failed to tell his children about. The boy took out Urim and Thummim from his bag. He had used the two stones only once, one morning when he was at a marketplace. His life and his path had always provided him with enough omens. He placed Urim and Thummim in the chest. They were also a part of his new treasure because they were a reminder of the old king whom he would never see again. It's true. Life really is generous to those who pursue their personal legend, the boy thought. Then he remembered that he had to get to Tarifa so he could give 1/10 of his treasure to the gypsy woman, as he had promised. Those gypsies are really smart, he thought. Maybe it was because they moved around so much. The wind began to blow again. It was the lavender, the wind that came from Africa. It didn't bring with it the smell of the desert, nor the threat of Moorish invasion. Instead, it brought the scent of a perfume he knew well and the touch of a kiss that came from far away, slowly, slowly, until it rested on his lips. The boy smiled. It was the first time she had done that. "I'm coming, Fatima," he said. So we ended the story. Do we want to continue with this about the author?
Yeah, let's read it. It must be nice.
Okay. Paulo Coelho was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the city where he now lives. His own life has in many ways been as varied and unusual as the protagonist of his internationally acclaimed novels. Like them, Paulo Coelho had followed a dream in a quest for fulfillment. His own dream to be a writer met with frustration throughout much of his early adult life, a time in which he worked at various professions, some of them materially rewarding but spiritually unfulfilling. I always knew, he said, that my personal legend, to use a term from alchemy, was to write. He was 38 when he published his first book. In 1970, after deciding that law school was not for him, he traveled through much of South America, North Africa, Mexico, and Europe. Returning to Brazil after 2 years, he began a successful career as popular songwriter. In 1974, he was imprisoned for a short time by the military dictatorship then ruling in Brazil. In 1980, he experienced one of the defining moments of his life. He walked the 500 plus mile road to Santiago de Compostela in northwestern Spain. On this ancient highway used for centuries by pilgrims from France to get to the cathedral said to house the remains of St. James. He achieved a self awareness and a spiritual awakening that he later described in the pilgrimage. Paulo Coelho once said that following your dream is like learning a foreign language. You will make mistakes, but you will get there in the end. In 1988, he published The Alchemist, a novel that explores this theme, and it launched him as an international best selling author. Specifically, Paulo Coelho is recognized for his powerful storytelling technique and the profound spiritual insights he blends seamlessly into his parables. Since then, The Alchemist has sold more than 20 million copies worldwide and has been translated into some 56 languages. In addition to The Pilgrimage and The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho has written luminous novels about the different streams of our lives, including By the River Piedra I Sat Down and Wept, The Valkyries, The Fifth Mountain, and Veronica Decides to Die. A winner of numerous literary prizes, Paulo Coelho is also a prominent speaker for humanitarian causes. In 1999, he received a Crystal Award for Artistic Achievement at the Davos Economic Forum Conference. That's all. So we end it. Great. So we are open for
Yeah.
discussion. Yes, Pallavi ji, take over.
And thank you everyone for wonderful reading and helping us to complete the book. Now the room is open for discussion. Suman ji, Sujata ji, Mansi ji, Anjali ji, please. Pranavi ji.
iPhone जी
For me, I always love this end. That's what I remember also of this book. So this has always been so profound. The end, the way it has been given, and the way he finds the treasure, like वो बोलते हैं ना सब पूरा घूम के finally he meets the same place where he started. So everything comes in full circle. So that part, and for me, I feel it is because like it's basically as they say, right? It's all about what we become in the journey. So he becomes a different person. He goes through all those experiences that he was meant to go and to grow and evolve. So that is how that's how I feel. That's the message of the author, maybe through this whole story where everything just comes in full circle, and he actually finds he goes to the Egypt and pyramids just to know where the treasure is actually, which was just underneath where he was lying in the beginning of the book. So just like that, like sometimes we just find our home from the very place where we began, something like that, somewhere like that. So yeah, I would like to hear others' insights also.
I liked one line towards the end, and that was like when he was praising the gypsies. The gypsies are really smart because that gypsy woman told about the treasure, and she took the part. She said that, okay, give me some proportion from that. So he says that gypsies were really smart because they have moved around so much. That is the biggest learning for anyone. Experience, personal experience, going around and meeting people, talking to the nature, and it itself is a great experience. And that is how a person becomes smart. I really love that part, that to become smart, you don't have to just dig into the books or just sit at a place, but you need to move around and look at the word what it is. And one more thing, what I liked was the third day when he says, na, when he starts talking with the wind and sun. So that is the point when he is talking, he is actually talking with nature, and he is bringing that power in himself. When he invites that simum, the breeze also starts blowing after he summons that power to the, and he's getting connected with God, that now God, I'm directly connecting with to the God. When sun says God, sun doesn't hold that much power, and the wind also declines, that it cannot make him the wind. That time when he's connecting with God, he understands that God is the supreme being, and how he's connecting, and he is one of the part of that uh, God, that power, no? So then the wind starts blowing. So with that internal power, he was able to become an alchemist, or he was able to move the world around. That inner power developed. So that I think it is from a normal being to a spiritual being. What we say, that we develop our power only after we connect with the God. And other thing, yeah, when he saw the pyramid, he was so much like he was overwhelmed, that wow, this is what he had been looking for, and he cried. So that is what we say, na, ki when the success arrives, when the point arrives, we are really overwhelmed, we really don't know how to take it. But that was again a turning point, that pyramids were laughing and he was laughing at them, that this is not the place exactly where he wanted to go. But although the journey was beautiful, he had learned a lot, and it was a round circle. He went back to the same place from where he started, but the journey was beautiful for him. So I really love the part that journey makes us something, that evolving comes only when we experience life. It's not just sitting at a place, but for evolving or for that enlightenment, we need to interact, we need to move around, and we need to meet others and understand, sometimes sit in silence and listen to the sound of nature. It was a beautiful book. Thank you, Pallavi ji, for taking up this book. Really, I wanted to read this from long time, but yeah, thank you so much. That's all.
To you all, actually, Mansi ji insisted to take this book, and Anil ji was taken. I was a little bit confused because I have already read this book, but this combined reading was such a wonderful experience. Yeah, thank you, Mansi ji. Thank you, everyone, for sharing beautiful insight and making this book really a good one to read at the end of the day.
Even I loved everyone's share during the reading. It was very beautiful. Like you get to know everyone's perspective, na, which is very different.
Correct.
Otherwise, you keep on taking the same messages again and again. But that
Yeah,
was
good
very nice.
morning.
Even yeah, yeah. Hi, Pranav. Yeah, go on, go on.
Hi, yeah, good morning to all. And Mansi, you just helped me out because I thought, what you will read about the author and all. I mean, at the end of the pages. But then, if you again, I recall something called as this author has started writing his books at the age of 30. And I read it somewhere. I seriously don't remember. But then he was actually he was into some law, this thing. But then again, he has realized that it is not his path, and then he gave up over there and started writing books. So what he's trying to tell is, with I mean, this creation of the story and all, his main purpose is to tell that he is telling to all the readers that please follow your dreams. And he is telling that obviously when you follow your dreams, there will be few hurdles. And he is also making us to think that these hurdles can be cleared out by setting certain things, like listening to the omens. And then obviously in this path, at times you will get cheated, and at times you will I mean, pass through many stages. But then end of the day, if you really follow your personal legend, the person would get satisfied to its peaks, but then it may take time. But then he's telling that the end point is, if you really pursue your dreams, that's the real satisfaction you'll get. So in this way, he has encouraged all the readers, showing that this is the pathway. And then similarly, we will somewhere relate in our lives also. Like Sandigo has faced all this. During this moment, he has faced it and he has courageously solved that issue and finally reached his personal legend. So even in our journey also, if we try to follow our personal legends, similar thought pattern will happen even in our lives, which is very normal. So he is indirectly troubleshooting at a different level. So when you really take actions in your life, this kind of things do happen. And knowingly or unknowingly, after reading this book, you'll take the courage to pursue your dreams. That is what I've learned from the uh, author. Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah, Pranavi, I was also liking when the part of the author was being read. She used the line that if you want to fulfill your dreams, the dreams are like a foreign language. Just learn it and you can reach to your dreams. It was very wonderful.
Exactly. And he has given the real process of the learning also. He's telling that how naturally we will face hurdles and how beautifully we can take it out also. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And one more thing he had pointed out that his jobs were materially rewarding, but not spiritually rewarding. So he was always in a pursuit of a spiritual journey. That is how he is incorporating the spirituality or the thought behind every story. In the storytelling, there is another thought parallelly running along. So I think that was also a thought behind his storytelling format.
Yeah. Personal legend has connection to the spiritual connection.
Yes. And one more line I liked, that everyone plays his own role. Everyone has a definite role for them. We have a purpose. Each one has a different purpose. And like if there was no lead, there would be no lead. Means gold cannot replace everything. But to become a gold, one has to go through a severe process that led transforming into gold. It is a what we say बहुत ज़्यादा ना difficult उसमें we have to we can transform only when we undergo a severe um, uh, practice or we undergo a severe process, then only we become gold जो सबसे ज़्यादा precious है. So that is also important to remember that it's not easy to achieve anything in life. It's not easy. A self transformation is not an easy process, but it can be achieved, and that we should not leave that pursuit.
And that context was also very wonderful when the alchemist ultimately left him alone when he was near his treasure. He said, from here, you will have to walk through your own journey. So, throughout the journey, he met various mentors, but ultimately, he had to get that himself.
Right. And one more example is there, like the crystal merchant, he left the pursuit. That the thief, the tribesman who met when he was digging, no, on the dunes, he was sitting and digging, following the beetles path. That time he also said, if I follow my dream, I don't follow my dreams like that. Otherwise, I would be wandering around. So two people, they just gave up. But this boy, he continued his journey and
Yeah,
ultimately he found
yeah.
that.
They have given all the examples now, like one, like that thief who just did not believe in the dream at all. He
Dreams,
feels that
yes.
it's fake. The merchant who feels, but he wants to stay in the longing of the dream rather than
Mhm.
wanting to take any steps towards it and go for it. He feels like, nay, this keeps me alive. It's okay. He plays small, right? Somewhere. So,
Right.
and this is the boy who just goes and evolves through the. It's basically also about the journey, how the journey grooms you. How what
And
Anjali rightly pointed.
he has also highlighted about the cleansing thing at a physical level. If you cleanse it, like here, the boy has gone for the the cleaning of the crystals and all. So it's again a sign that you're, uh, you know, if you cleanse your things outside, if you declutter things from the outside,
There are
Yes,
many, yeah, there are many
yeah,
deep messages in the whole story. If we see now, if we
yeah,
try to pick up it at small scenes and instances and dialogues, there are so deep messages.
yes,
This that is that what makes this book beautiful. And just to share with everyone, like I have listened to one of the interview by Oprah, who had taken interview of Paulo Coelho, because this book has been like on the top list of bestseller, New York bestseller, something for like I think decades or like many years. This was on the bestseller list, and or I think it still does stand on the top or something like that. And so there was there is beautiful interview. I'll just look for it and I'll share it in the group. So in that somewhere na even Paulo Coelho's own story also resonates a lot with this novel. So there is a story behind this novel also, where he shares in one of the podcasts that when he wrote this novel, I think it had some other name, or he wanted to keep this name, but the publisher wanted to give some other name to it or something like that, and he did not agree to it. He was like, "No, I want to keep this name only," or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And then after that, what happens? Like this novel did not get nobody buy this novel for like 1 whole year. It was only one person who purchased it, or one year, or for a very longer period, like 6 months or something. Nobody even purchased it from the shelf. So there was just one person, and the second copy was also purchased by the same person. So there were only two copies sold for a very long time. And then the publisher, I think the first publisher withdraw the publication of this novel, and then I think but the author totally believes that he wants to go on with this book, or he wants to he did not make any changes. And I think this book also he has written in one sitting. So it's like a divine this thing, like it's he wrote it in one sitting, or like in a one go, something like that. And then and then finally, after 6 months or one year something, after a period of time, it started rolling, and then it was found with some celebrity, and after that it got rolling, and since then it has been on the top of the list. So even the story of the alchemist, na, somewhere the book, the boy's story and all, it resonates with author's story also. So he shares that in that podcast. So I'll just share if I find something. So it's amazing actually.
and throughout the story, he emphasizes that love is that power that keeps us moving ahead. It is the strength, internal strength. Love from that king of Salem, he was supportive, the gypsy woman. So somewhere he finds he is continuously finding love, and finally Fatima, who never stopped him from moving ahead. She said, "I'll wait here." So that was different. That was love in different forms. So I felt that throughout the
yeah.
story, it
That's
was.
actually called as love and freedom. Most of
Yeah.
the loving hearts, they take things in an attached way, but then this lady, she has really given the freedom to work on his goal in a very loving way. That's the true love, I think.
Hmm.
Correct.
One
हाँ,
more context
yeah.
that I loved most, that was a line: life might be listening and give you less next time. When the alchemist was giving gold to the boy, and the boy was denying it, the alchemist said that for once, if a thing happens, then it can be ignored. But for twice it has happened to you that you have lost the gold. So you might again need this, and then he takes the gold, and ultimately the same thing happened when he was faced with again two thieves when he was near his treasure.
Right.
Very true. This reminded me of Kabir Duha. Uh, uh,
Hmm.
बिन मैं बेचारा बहुरन रहा रहा किनारे बैठ जिन ढूंढा तिन पाइया गहरे का पानी बैठ मैं बेचारा बहुरन डरा रहा किनारे बैठ
Hmm.
whoever's मतलब dare to pursue his dream जैसे कि आप सब लोग ने कहा उसी को मिलता है we should have courage to pursue our dream and transform our dreams into reality. अगर मतलब हम लोग अब अपने ड्रीम्स को परस्यू करने के लिए डरेंगे तो फिर वी वुड बी नोइंग कि यहाँ पे ट्रेजर है। समुद्र में सबको पता है कि मोती है, लेकिन हर कोई उसको डूब के उसे ढूंढने का करेज नहीं ला पाता है। तो और दूसरा जो अंजलि जी ने कहा, दैट वाज वेरी प्रोफाउंड कि द ट्रेजर वाज बरीड एट द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ओनली, but we needs to achieve, we are to be, मतलब कहते हैं ना कि अब चीज उसी को मिलती है जो उसे डिजर्व करते हैं, और आप डिजर्विंग तभी होते हैं जब आपने कहा जैसे स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ और सेल्फ डिस्कवरी होगी। So something you have and it is meant for you, but you have to go through the whole journey to achieve it. So this is mm,
Mm.
Yeah, that's the actual final point, Pallavi.
Very beautifully said. And in fact, one more thing I just want to add in this, like throughout the book, they have constantly, right from the beginning when he meets the king and the king gives him that Urim and Thummim, right from there, and he learns about the omens. So it's about he's pursuing his dream, but he's also very conscious of the omens. And he's taking that divine insights and divine signs to go forward on his journey throughout the journey, and now at the end he learns the languages also, right? The language of the heart and the soul and all of those things, so he learns to connect also. So there are very deep insights as such. If I think every time we read this book na, we decode it differently. Different things pop up and we understand the hidden messages in the book very differently, I feel.
so profound. Manish ji, welcome to the meeting. Today we read the whole book, and now any things you want to share, please?
Yeah, see, good morning, all. See, what I want to share is that, everything, whatever we achieve in life, or it all boils down to your belief system. So, belief, when we have a belief on what we can do, right? And one more, the belief is built on the knowledge that we carry. So, what I believe is every big divine thing in the universe is energy. And if you look at the smallest element of that energy, that is inside into every human or in nature, everything is energy, right? So if we use that energy in the right way, and if we have a strong belief system, see, motivation will fade so many times, right? You cannot have the same motivation every day, every time. But if you have a strong belief system, right, it will keep you. The belief is like, you have to water the plant every day. You can't just water once a week or once a month and expect it to grow the way you want, right? So we have to water our whatever we want to achieve. So our goals are like seeds, but we have to water them every day with our belief system. And when we have a strong belief system, then we'll have that action to make it happen. Because without strong belief, the action will not be enough. So that's what I use that in my day-to-day life, and I do strong affirmations. I play the movie that I want to live, both in personal and business life, and it is helping me a lot. So we should have a strong belief system, and we have to use those affirmations. Like yesterday, I sent a message, right, that I'm part of that energy that is magnificent in all possible ways. So I think one should have a strong belief system. So belief system is like watering the plant every day so that it can grow the what it is supposed to be. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else wants to share something? Sujata ji, any final words? Parnavi ji, Suman ji, Anjali ji.
Hey, there was one
Manish ji,
beautiful.
have you read this book, Manish ji?
No, I didn't read it, but uh, I just had I read the summary actually just to get an idea of what the book is about actually.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful book, but I would highly insist you to read it. It's different than a summary, but when you read it, it has very beautiful insights in it.
Okay, sure, I'll
So,
do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, before closing, I want to add, I really forgot to say this 2, 3 days back. Maktab, throughout the book, we have heard about maktab. That is, it is written. So there was one line where the author says that it is written, although it is written, but God wants us to change. जो कर्मा की बात होती है कि and that is where we see omens. Omens are indications that okay, something what is written, you can change it. So we have to keep looking at the omens, and omens are seen only by few people. Not everyone sees them. So it is either a person or it is either through a message we are getting it through a person or through the nature. But that means God is indicating that now the future is in your hands. So with your karma, you can change the future. But although it is written, you can change it. There is some line don't remember on which page, but it is there that when God wants us to change what is written, He sends the omens to us. He sends the indications, the signs to us. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I want to add to that. See, using those omens, every word is very powerful, right? So depending upon what words we are using in the omens, or like prayers or whatever we say it, right? So the words are
Mm.
very powerful and they carry the energy. And the more we do it often, the more power we get. So it's just like frequency, right? So we are
Right.
only attracting what we are thinking and what we are talking. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone. That was wonderful read. We completed the book today, and thank you everyone for joining and sharing their beautiful insight. I really enjoyed reading the book together with all of you. Thank you. Stay blessed, everyone. Now I hand over to Mansi ji, our mentor, who really make our he was a true motivator who always motivate people to take session ahead. Now he will tell what we will go with yesterday and tomorrow what will we how we will move ahead.
अरे
Tomorrow.
बाप रे पल्लवी मुझे ऐसे फोरम में फील आया ऐसे एकदम Okay, but thank you so much. You have always been so sweet. So basically, क्या करना है? Like we can go with a collective calling. Like, do we want to take a break because it's New Year also approaching? So, however, how would you all like to go about it? Do you want to like read, or you want to take a break, or how shall we go? I'm okay with anything. Or we can drop, or we can take a break for this week and we can start something from Monday onwards also. Something small or something. However, everyone wants, we can go it that way. Anyone wants to lead, also you're open to lead any book if you want to take a lead. कैसे करना है? What do every क्या अभी यहाँ पे जो है 5-6 लोग उनको क्या लगता है क्या करते हैं?
I think it is a holiday, ये vacation time है ना, तो you just put a poll on the group. If anyone is interested in leading the book, then they can go ahead and suggest. Even the book suggestion also matters. What book? So
Yeah, I agree.
let's see.
ठीक
You
है
can put a
हाँ.
Yeah,
poll in
same
the
here.
group, no? Huh.
Right.
Yeah, even I agree. I'll do that. Like, I'll just put a poll. So let's go with the poll. And now that we have finished both the books now, so let's see how to go about it. Not a problem. Okay, then. Pallavi, are you taking notes? Are you able to take notes of both
I
the prompts?
only I will do right now. Good morning,
Okay.
yes, sir. We have just completed the book and we
Yeah, yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Many things. So I just said, ki, let me take a diamond even for last minute.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
You can look back to the recording today. So if
Yes.
there were
Yes.
few finer pointers that Anjali ji and everybody shared. Yeah.
No, no, sure. I will do. I am reading that book also on my own
Okay.
and practicing few things. I'll discuss with you also personally.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank
Uh,
you, Pallavi. Thank you,
you
all
can.
masterminds.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank
Everybody.
you,
Have a
sir.
blessed
Thank you so
day.
much.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Palviji.
Thank you,
It was
Pallavi. I'll just stop the
wonderful.
recording, Pallavi, and you take the notes as comfortably you can.